Hey guys, quick update on the tank for December 2018. A few changes, some stuff just the same, and I'll kind of run you through everything upstairs and then downstairs. That's different. Tanks are doing great. All the fish, corals are doing fantastic. I've added a few pieces of coral upstairs and downstairs, and I'll show you guys all of that. LPS is doing fantastic. That hammer down there is 4 heads. It used to be 1. Monties are growing like crazy. I picked up this hammer and this torch a couple of weeks ago, and I think the torch is already split. The torch is just absolutely gorgeous. So the Duncan corals I moved are doing great. All the SPS is growing. Corals are looking great under the Hydra 26s. This Monty needs to get trimmed. It's just, it's almost touching the glass at this point. So I'm just going to break off a huge chunk of it. It's the size of a serving platter, at this point. Same with the Pasillipora behind it. Everything looks great. Fish are doing great. These guys think it's breakfast time. All the LPS corals are big and full and just looking excellent. The T5s just came on, so the tank's a little bluish this morning. Here's my favorite fish that I thought was dead for a month, and then just now he's out and hanging out. So generally speaking, upstairs the 180 is just thriving. I do like a 20-gallon water change using vacuuming out the sand bed maybe once a month up here just to keep the sand nice and bright and white. But aside from that, just keeping the glass clean. That's it. That's all I do up here. No crazy maintenance. The Slimer that had basically died is growing back, which is exciting. I'm going to clip off the dead pieces and try and replant some of the growth as it starts to fill in. But otherwise, you know, corals are looking great. Here's that torch again from the other side. I'm just in love with this coral. I can't wait for it to fill out and keep growing. But like I said, up here, the 180, it's my favorite tank that I have. It's the tank that gets the most attention and has the most money put into it, because it's the centerpiece of our living room. And, you know, I just sit on the couch and appreciate it often. You know, fish are doing great. The tangs are all thriving. Powder blue is doing great. Hippo's hiding right now, but she's doing great. And just generally really enjoying this tank. It's honestly fairly low maintenance. I use the flipper magnet to keep the glass clean. My phosphates are sitting at like 0.06 right now, which is a little high-ish. So I do end up with some algae on the glass here and there. So once a day or so, I go around and clean the glass. Same thing on the 25. The glass gets pretty dirty quickly, and I have the Flipper Nano on this tank, so especially with the window right there, I clean the glass probably daily. It takes, honestly, 30 seconds. I've got the Hydra the AI Prime HD on this tank. Purple Tang, little Purple Tang, he looks bigger here than he does in real life. He's kind of right up against the glass. They also think it's time to eat. He's going to get relocated soon, so please feel free to refrain from yelling at me in the comments about having a Tang in a 25-gallon cube. He's fine. He will be moved. But for now, it's not hurting him at all. He swims around all the time. And so when he's ready, I'm just worried about the yellow Tang with him in here. So up here, everything's going great. I'll take you guys downstairs and show you all of the changes down there because there's a lot to talk about down there as far as changes. So in the basement, I took all of the big colonies out of my frag tank and literally just set them on the rocks in here. And it's a little tough to see. The light's looking a little bluish here. Here we get a little bit of better view with some color. There's my favorite fish that I own, the Emperor Angel. Just waiting for him to change, literally looking at him every day, hoping and praying. I also added a Sohal Tang to this tank, and he's doing great. The only thing down here is, and here you can see some of the corals, the only thing down here is my Blonde Naso Tang died like the day after I added the Sohal Tang, but it didn't look like there was any damage to him. I don't know what happened. It was obviously super sad. I am never happy about a fish death. So that was a little weird and shocking, and I don't know if it was related to the Sohal Tang, but the Sohal Tang has not really been like a brute in the tank. Actually, the Desjardins Sailfin is kind of the guy who runs the show. I'll give you a side view here of the tank. It's an 8-foot tank. It's 96 inches long, 30 inches deep, 24 inches front to back. And I added a canopy to it with access from all the sides so it's easier to clean, because we are going to finish the basement. So this will be sort of it'll match with the drywall, and it's not perfect, but it's fine for now. And I'm going to add some trim to it to clean it up a little bit. But being able to get to the tank from the front was necessary for keeping the glass clean. It's tough to get to it from the back. So I just added hinges and be able to get in here. I'm going to get rid of these plexiglass lids too and just go with some glass. They're warping and the wood is rotting from the moisture. So they were just a temporary fix to begin with. I knew that when I put them in. The crazy thing is the corals are growing down here, and the only light I'm using is some Home Depot clamp floodlights and a Reef Bright strip and some cheap eBay blue lights that I use for like dawn and dusk. The Reef Bright is probably providing most of the par for photosynthesis, but this Monty I took out of the frag tank has tons of growth on it. You can see along the edge there. That's just since I added this to this tank. It's probably grown 1/4 of an inch all the way around in a month. And so it's working. Here, I'll take you guys into the fish room. This is all going to be a separate room with a door and walls soon, so the plastic will go away. I plumbed my protein skimmer. It's a Beckett skimmer. I plumbed it directly into the return pump instead of running 2 separate pumps. And then I added some valves for cleaning. I can just turn it off here, unscrew the union, take the cap off, clean it. I try to clean the protein skimmer, the cup, like once a week. It takes maybe 2 minutes to do it. Then I just turn it back on. It's all run off of the main return pump now, and when the collection cup fills up, I've got it connected to the apex. I get a notification when the jug there fills up, and it creates back pressure that turns down the skimmer so that it can avoid overflowing and running the tank dry, which would be a disaster. I also added a 1-inch flow monitor for my Apex FMM that was up here, and I added the 2-inch one up there just to get a little bit more flow up there, not to restrict the flow to the main tank as much, and honestly it didn't really make much of a difference. I'm not getting a ton of flow to the upstairs tank, and there you see I turned it off, turned it back on, and it's working fine. The upstairs tank only, according to the FMM, only gets about 300 gallons per hour, but it's enough. Here's my fish. These guys are from my school tank. I'm a high school social studies teacher, and I've got a tank in my classroom, but it's Christmas break, and I was worried about feeding them over break, so they are in my sump. Replaced my return pump with a reflow hammerhead that I picked up used on one of the forums, because my old one was old and the impeller is stuck. I can't get it off to clean it, and it cracked, so it was making some noise. And so this is going to be my emergency in the event of a disaster pump. And then the new pump is working great so far, running like a dream, nice and quiet. Frag tank's doing great. I picked up some SPS frags that are growing nicely and waiting to get moved to the upstairs tank. There's like a blue-rimmed Monty there. It's tough to see. Some other cool stuff. A piece of Kelly Tort that's growing. I use Ocean Revive lights on the frag tank. Here's the backside view of the big tank with those, my cheap lights that work. They're working great. So for now, I'm gonna keep using them. Eventually, maybe I'll upgrade the lighting. Like I mentioned, these tops are temporary, so they won't be around forever. I'm gonna go with glass. They're a pain. So I was thinking about even like some folding lids for a smaller tank. I try to mitigate the humidity in the basement as much as possible. I've got a dehumidifier running specifically in this room. It only comes on when the sun is up so that the solar can power it. You'd see it sits up there, but it keeps the room pretty, and it just drains right into the sink. I also have 2 vent fans attached to a humidistat that come on. So the humidity in the fish room is like 60%, which I think is not too bad, and everything is protected by plastic to keep any of that humidity from getting into the main part of the house. The house is generally pretty humid. It's winter in western New York right now, and the humidity's sitting at like 62% in my house. I've got humidistats in every room, just out of concern with all the fish tanks. And especially our bedroom gets really damp, so I'm running a dehumidifier in the bedroom also. So those are some of the changes. It's nothing huge, but a lot of little stuff. I'm really enjoying this tank with the corals and the color in here now. And the next major change is we're talking to our contractor about getting the basement finished in January. So that's it. Yeah, hit me with your comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. I'll talk to you later.